Hey YouTube, what goes on? And welcome to Disavowed Action Figures, bringing you another action figure review. This time around, the Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure Wave Vulcan. I'm pretty excited about this guy. I don't have a huge connection to the character, although I do read X-Men comics, and I have for a long time. He is the third Summers brother, so he didn't need to be added to my collection. However, the most interesting thing I find about this figure is the fact that this is supposedly going to be the new male body buck moving forward for all male Marvel Legends that are like the average size dude. Butterfly joints, pinless, all sorts of cool stuff going on with this guy. So let's take a close look at the packaging. We'll rip them open, we'll move them around, and we'll do the thing that I love to do the most. We'll compare them to other action figures. And taking a closer look at the packaging, we get the great X-Men logo right there in yellow and red, very striking. Marvel's Vulcan along with it. On the top, that X logo, which I love to see on the packaging, along with the Build-A-Figure Bonebreaker name for this much anticipated Build-A-Figure, probably one of the most anticipated Build-A-Figures of 2022 thus far. On the side, we get that great artwork on both sides. On the back, there is our cross sell. You will need 6 figures to build this much anticipated Build-A-Figure of Bonebreaker. This being number 3, which as we said comes with the arms, the torso, and the alternate hands. And then as far as the read-up is concerned, you can pause right now if you want to. It says Vulcan sets his sights on total galactic conquest. Standing in his way are the X-Men, the Inhumans, the Kree, and his brother Havoc. That is referencing one of the more popular Marvel storylines where Vulcan was the antagonist. And here is Gabriel Summers, aka Vulcan, also known as the youngest of the Summers brothers, his older brothers being Cyclops and Havoc from the X-Men. Looks pretty good on the stand with his 2 accessories of his 2 hands, which seem rather large, which we'll take a closer look at momentarily. Vulcan made his comic book debut in 2006's X-Men Deadly Genesis, where it was revealed he was on a secret team of X-Men we didn't know about. So it was a bit of a retcon going on here with Marvel Comics. He then later on went on to be a villain in the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire, and eventually met his demise in War of Kings, but he's still currently in the X-Men comics, so I will not get into anything of his current characters. Very interested, somewhat convoluted, short history relatively for an X-Men character, only being around since 2006. But as I said, he's in the Summers family, the X-Men family, so he needed to come into the collection. Let's take a closer look at him. Here's a look at that head sculpt. The hair is very well done, I must say. You get some bangs hanging down in the front right here. The eyes came out relatively nicely as well, being yellow, showing off his power set. As far as the paint job on my particular figure, came out pretty clean. The lines look pretty good. There are about 3 or 4 of these on the shelf, so I kind of looked through to find, as far as what I could tell, was the best one from the front. As we had said, notice there are no pins, nothing in the elbows, nothing in the legs. This being that new pinless male body buck that they'll be using with the average size male characters in the line. Nice X-Men belt right there. So overall, aesthetics look pretty good on this guy. Let's take a look at the accessories that he came with. So the 2 main accessories for our Vulcan are his 2 hands. And once we get these onto his body, I'll let you be the judge, but I've seen them before, and they look very big for the body. I don't really know what the story is there. I think we get a better idea once you actually see them on there. Let's take a close look at Bonebreaker's Build-A-Figure pieces that he also came with. Here is the torso and arms for Bonebreaker, the Build-A-Figure. I will be hoping to build this over time. I have some figures on pre-order. You can see the arms do pretty well on this figure. As you see, the head does not come with him. That does come with Maggot. We're going to get the peg here that will basically fit into the tank portion. There's also this removable collar piece. And in addition to that, you'll see it does come with 2 closed hands or punching fists. So a lot of pieces for a Build-A-Figure coming with this one guy. So if you want to build this, you're definitely going to need him in your collection. So let's take the opportunity now to look at the articulation on this guy. Head will go all the way around and rotate. It will look down about that far, burying his chin, which is very far. It'll look very far up as well, but there's some gappage underneath. As far as attitude, a little bit of left, a little bit of right, as you can see, kind of giving us that pivot, which looks pretty good when you get it going on. As far as the arms are concerned, they will go out into the T pose, actually a little bit higher than the T, about right there. The big draw with this is going to be that really awesome articulated butterfly joint that they did put on this new buck. So it will come very far in toward the middle, which is fantastic. As you can see, both hands will relatively touch. The only figure that I have in my collection that I think can do that is probably the Deadpool from the movie. You do have rotation, obviously, at the shoulder going all the way around. Upper bicep swivel right there. Double jointed elbow, which, as we said, is going to be pinless, which looks fantastic. You do get rotation down here at the wrist. And, of course, we do get the articulation right there of the wrist as well. As far as our legs are concerned, it will kick about that far forward. It'll kick about not too far backward, about that far out to the side. We do have the upper thigh swivel going on. We do get the boot cut right there. The double jointed knee is pretty great. Again, pinless, which is great. Kicks himself basically in the butt. Encumbered once it does hit the calf muscle, as you would expect. And then as far as the foot's concerned, I get nervous. I did work this a little bit beforehand. The feet always seem stiff on my figures. I'm always starting to snap them and break them, putting them back up into place. Let me know if you have that same issue with your figures as well. As far as our torso, looks about that far downward. Bury the chin, you can see how great that looks right there. Looking backward, you do get a little bit of chunkiness here in the front of the abdomen. Also pointing out, you get that in the back here. It's kind of flat, which you really don't like too much in your figures. There is a waist cut going on right there for the waist to swivel, and the belt covers that up nicely. Obviously, the big draw with this guy being the fact we get these great butterfly joints coming in and basically touching in the front. And as far as how back they're going to go, they rotate about that far back on the butterfly. So if we're going to be getting this as a standard release eventually on all these male figures, that is fantastic, because you got to love yourself butterfly joints on your action figures. Just gives you a lot more options as you start to pose them. Here's Vulcan with the alternate hands in place, and I don't know what it is. As I said, they just seem very large. Again, I know other reviewers have said the same thing, but having it in hand, I definitely have to agree. In hand, pun intended. The cool thing, though, being, and shout out to Omega Weapon 13 had told me, when you do push them all the way in with the butterfly joint, they can basically clap together and touch, which is a very cool thing to see when it comes to the butterfly joint articulation. But yeah, I can't quite get over the size of those hands. And here it is, the gratuitous hands near the head picture. So you can kind of see, I don't think that my hands are that big relative to my cranium. I want everybody right now to sit there in their recliner and take their hand and put it next to their ear and kind of try to see, are your hands this big compared to your head? I don't think they're supposed to be, but I don't know. I guess I just don't know. But it doesn't detract from the fact that I do like this figure a whole lot. As I always say, my favorite thing to do in these videos are comparisons with Marvel Legends and all sorts of other wacky lines that are in my collection. Here is Vulcan with his two older brothers, Havoc and Cyclops. You can see that as far as height is concerned, they are relatively the same height. All three have such great hair running in that family. Obviously, Havoc and Cyclops are on that old Bucky cap buck. This is the Cyclops that came in the 3-pack, and then obviously this is the Havoc that came in the 2-pack with Polaris. It is interesting, we mentioned the larger hands on Vulcan. I know a lot of people complained when Havoc came out in this 2-pack with his great iconic 90s look. I prefer this look for Havoc, by the way, that his forearms were huge. So kind of ironic, maybe it's in the Summers family, you have larger arms and hands and whatnot. It's just not consistent across the board. But there are the three Summer brothers together here on the rotating base, and they're going to look great on my X-Men shelf. Here is Vulcan standing with his aforementioned brothers, ladies in their lives, Jean Grey and Polaris. He does stand taller than each of them. Forgot how great the hair does look on Polaris and this Jean Grey figure. Just kind of looking at the entire Summers family, what it might be like to, you know, have a Summers family picnic for the 4th of July. Here's Vulcan, which I guess would be with his nephews, maybe half nephew, partial nephew. I don't know how the Summers family works. It's a weird family tree. But here we do have Cable in all of his 90s glory, standing here with the Age of Apocalypse X-Man, which I guess is technically a clone of Cable. Like I said, X-Men gets weird, but there he is with his nephews. Here's Vulcan standing back to back with Nick Fury from the Giant Man Marvel Legends wave. A good example of what the new butterfly jointed standard pinless buck looks like back to back with that older Bucky Cap buck that will soon be retired. You can see that the new one is slightly taller, a little wider at the shoulders to accommodate for those great butterfly joints. Just overall a thicker base body, which should look great with some newly to be released Marvel Legends figures. Here's what Vulcan looks like standing with a much larger Marvel Legend Build-A-Figure, this one being the Kingpin Build-A-Figure. Here's Vulcan with one of his shorter teammates, this being the brown and yellow Wolverine. And as we know, Wolverine and the Summers family don't always see eye to eye, so eventually, they're going to have a run-in or three. Vulcan's on the rotating base here with a Mezco Ash Evil Dead figure, and also our G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Island Target exclusive Major Blood. Some more variety for your comparisons. Here is Vulcan, standing with the Star Wars Black Series Hunter from the Bad Batch, and the Plunderlings Feral Cheetah. Here we have Vulcan standing with some 7-inch scaling figures, which is the Raphael TMNT in disguise turtle, along with that big Bastish himself, Lobo from the DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys action figure line. And as always, our final comparison, here is Vulcan back to back with the king of sloth style himself, Orange Cassidy from the AEW Jazzwares Unrivaled Wrestling action figure line. And Orange Cassidy, he pretty much will hang out with anybody, Vulcan. So if you're a good guy, you're a bad guy, a little bit in between, Orange doesn't care. So my closing thoughts on Vulcan, the articulation on this new male Marvel Legends body buck is fantastic. For any reason, you should pick this up just because of the fact of the historical ramifications in the Marvel Legends line. This will be the new male buck moving forward with the pinless elbows, with the pinless knees, with that great butterfly articulation. Just gets me very excited for the future of the Marvel Legends line. Also, if you're going to build Bonebreaker, obviously you have to pick this guy up. If you're an avid X-Men Marvel Legends collector and X-Men fan, having that third Summers brother on your shelf that's been such a central focus of so many X-Men stories over the years, then that also makes it a necessity. If you're not building Bonebreaker and you're not really an X-Men collector, other than, as I mentioned earlier, for the historical reasons for picking this up in your collection for the new body, you might want to take a pass on it. But overall, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're new, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free for you. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us grow the channel tremendously. Hit that little bell for notifications. That way YouTube will actually alert you and tell you when we post new content here on the channel, like our weekly toy hunts, reviews, and live streams. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and for daily toy content and daily toy updates, check us out over at Instagram and Twitter at Disavowed_12. Hey everybody, if you're going toy hunting this week, try to remember the 3 Ps of the toy hunt: patience, persistence, most of all, politeness. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.